Try again here. Oh my goodness. Okay. Hi, I got off to a false start. So here we go. Please come on into the chat. I think I improved the lighting. Really going to have to get a professional studio type thing going on. Hi, everybody. This is Patricia Cori. I am coming to you live from the Azores. I'm going to just wait till some people drop into the chat room before I get rolling on my subject of the day, which is the depth of perception. Hi, Laura. I'm so glad you're there. Thank you for coming. You know, depth of perception, big topic. Okay, we've already got, hi, Angel, Maria, don't know how to pronounce that, Monperi. I'm going to take a few minutes to greet everybody because, hi, Courtney, fallen star. I bet you're not a fallen star at all. You're a brilliant star. Hi, Daryl. Fallen from the heavens into physical domain, I'll buy. Hi, Linda. Thank you for being there. Love back to you. Oh, it's so wonderful, everybody. Everybody come in. It definitely is a good idea to announce I'm doing something before I just pop in. Oh, Pedro. All the way from Panama. How are you, my dear Pedro? Nancy, hello. Thank you for being here. Marcella from Surrey. Yeah, I knew I got it right, Fallen Star. Hey, Darren, hiya. I'm glad you're here. Pamela, Nancy, SM, not like S&M, from Scotland, beautiful country. Hi, Ron. My dear Fig, bet you're doing better. I'm sure you're doing better. Okay, well, I'm going to get rolling. So today, I'm going to do a disclaimer, and that is that I never, ever am prepared with a script or notes or, it's just not how I roll. And when I try to do that, I get completely fried. I get confused because I speak from the heart. It's the only way I know how to do it. Nice to see you too, Peter. So I have been consternating on how to bring you my views that I think are important, at least they are to me, and hopefully maybe helpful to the question of what we're all perceiving as reality now. And it seems to be slipping further into some kind of a alien reality show. It's like, turn on the satellite dish. What are we watching today? Let's watch Earth. Oh boy, they're really freaking out. I always think of it that way. Imagine if we are a reality show for some alien species. But it's funny also because I promised myself I wouldn't be silly, but I just can't seem to ever take humor out of the occasion. Right, so let me just start by saying this. Many years ago, I jumped into the ocean for the first time in Hawaii. I mean, the deep. And it was my first attempt at snorkeling. It was arranged, Captain's Cove, full day outing, including grilled fish on the boat. But they took us to this extraordinary cove that was full of tropical fish, just every kind of life imaginable. And I remember my experience of, as jumping in, I was terrified because, I have a lot of respect for the deep ocean. And jumping off a boat is always for me something. Even now that I swim with dolphins, it's jumping off the boat is always like, yikes. I jumped in, we jumped in. And as I went deeper, the first time I really looked, I was still very surface. And so there was all the sun from being so close to the surface. And then I got rid of the fear, and this world opened up to me. These breathtaking colors, all this life, all these animals. And I went deeper, and I just held my breath and went deeper, and I was swimming amongst the corals. And I remember thinking, how can this exist? And I've only just discovered it. 70% of this planet is this. How is it that I've lived all these years and I've never imagined really what's under the water? Oh my God. And so, to look out like I am right now, looking out at the ocean and see all the beauty, the beautiful blue ocean, and love it for the surface, and believe when you're observing it that, yeah, that's what it is. Blue ocean, waves, nice. Always forgetting that under the water is a world more vast than ours. So much life that many people will never, that most people on this planet will never see, that probably won't even be aware of, doesn't exist. They're lucky if they even see the blue ocean, right? And so this kind of leads me into my discourse today. As we observe the hysteria, the fear of what's going on at the moment, and what's been going on for quite a moment, I think to myself, how is it that so many people are locked in to what they're seeing at the surface? And how is it that others are able to see deeper? And I think this is a discussion we need to have, because we've gotten comfortable with saying they're asleep, they're sheep, and that implies that we're not, and we're awakened. But I think that we need to take a really good look at how we have become, or so many people are dramatically, absolutely, totally locked in to the surface of reality as they perceive it on this planet. And then we'll get to how we, those of us who believe that we can see below the waves, aren't. Why? How is it that some people can see deeper? And, is it cultural? Is it past lives? Is it our spiritual study or whatever? When I think about the mechanisms that are in place to control humanity, how is it that some of us are not affected by these mechanisms? So I want to talk about the auric field and what it really does, and how the whole health issue, I'm not supposed to mention the name of it for some silly reason, has people in this hysteria of germ avoidance. Let's talk about choosing my words. And yet the hysteria of doing that is making people sick and weakening the immune system. And let us not forget that we tend to think of the immune system as a physical thing, so protecting us against germs. But what about the mental immune system? What about the emotional immune system and what that's doing? So I've spoken before about, and many of you are reporting how you see people driving down the road. They're in their car. And here on this island, it doesn't get much better than this air-wise. Negative ions from the ocean, just breeze, just beauty everywhere. And these people are driving down their cars. They've got a mask on their face. They've got the plastic visor. They've got the windows rolled up and they're alone in the car. And I ask myself, what is the mindset of these people? Well, we can laugh at them, but I don't really want to laugh at anyone. I want to understand, because we need to figure out, we who believe we're awakened enough to try to help society get through this. Really, how are they being manipulated into that kind of absolute disconnect with what's happening? So, for example, how is it possible that a person doesn't perceive that air is good and that your own germ, if you're alone in the car, then only thing you have to worry about is your own germs. And so if you're breathing them here, I don't get why people don't understand that's not a good idea. I don't get it. I can almost understand that people feel endangered by encountering another human being. Of course, it's being inculcated in our minds. I can almost wrap my head around that, why everybody is still, well, not everybody, but so many people are still bound to the mask. And that, there are still places where you can't go shopping without the mask. But I want to explore this more so we can help. We must try to help, even though any kind of attempt to talk to people who are bound to that idea results in violent protest and rejection and anger and rage and whatever. Still think there must be a way to communicate a deeper understanding of what they're doing. And now in this rioting and the Floyd paradigm, Mayra, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, one of my viewers wrote, if you know anything about the power of words, I can't breathe is dark occult mantra. It's pure magic, dark magic. So now let's put this together. You've got people that are masking themselves because they've been told that they can die of this health issue, and they can't breathe. And now you've got people ranting about using the mantra, I can't breathe. And it should be obvious that this is connected. I mean, it's obvious to me. It's got to be obvious to you if you're on my channel, that this is a deliberate, planned segue that blocks an individual's liberty, thought, emotion, and physical health, so that it leads to disempowerment, right? Okay, wait, I'm going to interrupt myself here. There's lots of comments, and I want to see if I don't want to just keep talking without answering them. Yeah, thank you. Courtney's saying, I saw a guy out jogging. 2 kids were in some kind of a marathon. They dropped dead because they were jogging with this mask on. I'm sorry to laugh, but it is beyond my comprehension that anybody could be that blind to not consider that this is dangerous for the health. People being forced to this is another thing. I don't want to just stay on this issue, but for the moment, we're all talking about it. It's like when I put that thing on, and I've only done it twice because 3 times, because I have to go into a store and it's required. And so I put it on at the entrance so the guy sees me, and I immediately move it down because I can't breathe. I mean, I really can't breathe. And then there's the issue of I need prana. I've always been a person that needs windows open, air, prana moving, because I work with it on so many levels. We all need prana. I mean, I'm not any different than anyone else, but I'm so conscious of it. And so when I see people how is it possible that you wear this mask 8 hours a day? How is it possible that you wear it alone in a car? What is the fear? How are you being manipulated And this was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this talk. What is the trigger? Why are some people able to see through it and resist it and understand it and say no to it, and say no to the rioting, and say no to the drama of just about everything that's unfolding? How is it that some people only see the surface? They can't get past that. And others have different degrees of awareness all the way down to being able to explore everything that's under that water, to see it clearly. So I think, and another question I have is, which I'll talk about tomorrow, is what are the mechanisms, what are the devices that are being used to keep people in this state? You know, there's all kinds of devices, but the number one enemy numero uno, is the television. I'm convinced that, well, I haven't had television for 20 years. And I'm convinced that this is not just the information that's being put out by the absurd excuse for media, but also there must be something more coming through the screen. Think about it. Now, I've reported some time ago that many, many years ago, I'll say 1997, I met an engineer who worked for Sony. And he was a really tuned in guy. And he said, I'm going to tell you something. One out of every, but by the year 2000, it was 1997, one out of every 10 television sets will have the technology to be looking back at the audience. And he said, within a decade, most all of them will. And I said, oh, come on. And how is that being? How? And he said, the little red dot, your little, is it one of the reasons why they invented the remote control? It's not only about making it easier. He said, it's a vehicle, it's a camera. So he said, so people are laid back eating popcorn on the couch, switching channels, not realizing that it's a camera. And it's the vehicle to look back at who's looking for whatever reason. And he said, that, those reasons can go from monitoring behaviors to programming, to advertising, etc. And they can be more nefarious. But yeah, they're watching. And so if they're watching, they, being the powers that be, can they also be sending out frequencies? Question mark. Let's see. Anna says, hey, Anna, how are you? Yeah, many people are under the spell of television. So there's the programming. Yay. I'm talking the right word is programming. There's the false narrative. There's the bickering, which is always present. Bickering nonstop. Hate language nonstop. The drama, the drama, the drama, the drama. So that anytime you tune into it, you're immediately in disharmony. There's nothing pleasant going on anywhere on any kind of programming, even the programs, if you ever get to them, between the advertising and the news and whatever, it's just violence. We know this story already. I don't have to tell you that. But I'm particularly talking about media, the news. Excuse me. The poor excuse for news, and the bickering and the name calling. The names that people are calling each other. I mean, Biden openly called President Trump a homophobe, a racist. I mean, Trump uses his language too. So I'm not, don't get on my case for say about Trump, because he's got his really, I wish he would stop already with the name calling. I wish they would all stop with the name calling. What happened to the dignity of, even if it was fake, the dignity of the position of the president? and these politicians. There's no dignity anymore. And we keep searching for it. We need heroes. We're looking for heroes. And when, of course, they aren't heroic figures because they happen to have human flaws, then we hate, right? I'm getting off track here, but so these devices, for sure, there has to be, this is, I think, the reason I really wanted to come to you today is to discuss this. What is it that is getting people to the state of utter, complete hysteria and insanity? So we know that there are forces that are driving it for purposes that have to do with the deep state and the control battle between Trump's people and the deep state. And, you know, this deep state is very, very deep, very deep. And I think that they are pulling out all the stops, and the control mechanism we're seeing being placed, choking the air out of us, which is a theme here. Every minute you wake up in the morning, there's more and more and more and more. Force this, force that. The children in school, another big question. They want to cordon off the children in little plastic boxes, and they're going to put police tape around their chairs that says, you know, the stuff, do not cross this police line. They're putting this around children's desks to delineate how close they can get to each other. The poor children. But again, a lot of people are buying this. It's going to keep us safe from what? What is the boogeyman this week? And how did we go from the boogeyman virus to the extreme? We're almost at civil war in the United States. I'm not in the United States, but I'm American, okay? It's almost civil war, right there at the edge. And it's being inculcated, right? And again, my question is, how do we reach people that are at the frenzy point where they're willing to throw you away? I mean, yeah, I just got a friend just tossed me because she said something really vile about Trump. And I said, I don't appreciate that. And she said, oh, so you're a Trump lover? Well, then maybe we don't have anything to talk about. And I said, maybe we don't. 30 years friendship, ciao bella. You know, it's like, and this may age me or date me, but it's like every day I feel like I'm in a bumper car on the boardwalk. And, you know, you go a little forward, you bump into something, you try to turn, you bump into something else. There's very little malleability in society where we can talk to each other, really talk. And, you know, I'm screaming about this all the time, because when we lose that, when we lose the dignity of our humanity, the nobility of thought, then we're done. We're done. And so I'm always calling out to people to remember that. And, you know, I've had people say something that I really love to hear from several people. They've said, on your Facebook page, I feel safe. It's the one place I feel I can talk. And the reason is because I have been more than overtly antagonistic about anybody that dares to use aggressive language, name calling, attack language. They're immediately off, whether it's attacking me or anybody else. And so I've been creating at least that space there, as long as we have that. But what about the bigger picture here? How do we help? Because, you know, so we know we're light workers. Some of us are really warriors here, trying to make a difference. And we're running into people who are irrational. It's beyond irrational. They're completely, hysterically disempowered. The TV is enemy number one. Because first of all, if you think about this, you plop down in front of it, you plop your kids in front of it. It's vile most of the time. The content that we're being shown is, I can't watch it. One of the reasons why I stopped it was because I remember thinking, well, okay, so I have to pay, because in the old days TV was free but you had to put up with the advertising. Then you got the paid channels and no advertising, so you were kind of like, well, it's worth it, okay. And you got some great content for a while, and then it started to degenerate, and now the paid, most of the cables and everything are full of advertising anyway, and the content is worse and worse and worse. And if you dare to watch the news, it's bickering, name calling, false illusion of reality. And people are sitting in front of this for so many hours a day. And the children, what about the children? If they're not playing with the computer game, most of the computer games are violent, killing games, then they're plopped in front of the television. So it's really hard when you do a talk and you have no feedback, and you just can lose your train of thought. So I'll take a break here and read some of the comments. Cartney says that's psychological abuse. Yeah, I mean, yeah. How about the fact that people, talking about the virus again, people haven't made the connection. They're so busy believing that they could die if they dare to take off their mask. And then we get, one day we're supposed to wear them, one day we're not supposed to wear them. It keeps changing. And not realizing the impact this has on their psyche. It's psychological abuse. And it's mandated. And here's another thought. Now, I have to be careful what I say here. But I never am. It's not who I am. So I live on an island in the Azores. And for 7 weeks now, 7 weeks ago, let me say that, we were told that there were 5 cases on the island. So they sealed off the airport. They didn't allow any ships in. And we had to stay home. I'm thinking, 5 cases? That's a lot of reaction, isn't it? So for weeks, we had to stay home. We were allowed, don't do authority, to go to the grocery store. And it was relatively calm here because I live in an underpopulated place. Then, and I'm watching, I'm thinking, okay, the first 3 weeks were gone. We still had 5 cases. That shoots the quarantine theory right in the patootie. 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Suddenly it dropped down to 2 cases. Well, that's interesting because if there's a quarantine of 2 weeks, we're still stuck with the 5 cases. There's no ships coming in and out. I've seen ships sitting in the harbor. They wouldn't let them come in. They wouldn't even let them come in to fuel up and reload on supplies, right? Talking of severe. And the first thing that hit me was, oh yes, this agenda is a rote agenda that's being used in all the countries. There's a protocol that was probably handed out at the last global meeting. UN, was it? But it's a mandate. And the time schedules for when things are going to start reopening, they're all the same. The protocols with the masks, they're all the same. It's a setup. Why can't people see it? And if you dare suggest that it's a setup, aside from being banned from every social media, people start hating on you. I've had somebody tell me, if you won't wear a mask, it means you. She said, this is how she said it. So, Patricia, what you're saying is you're not going to wear a mask because you don't give a damn about anybody else. So you want me to be dead. Can you discuss with somebody like this? There's no conversation. It's better to let it go. I'm going to read some comments now. Dark cyber, Darren says, dark cyber matrix energy being infiltrated into smart media. It sure is. Yeah. I won't be talking about AI in this particular discussion, but it is relevant from the point of view of how are people being manipulated. And again, the question is why. Let's suggest they're using AI, they're using satellite beams, scalar waves, you name it. We know that the secret government has lots of tools, right? Why is it some people are not affected? This is where I want to go to next. The auric field. Sometimes we really forget that we are not just this physical being, but that we have this incredible energy egg around us. Some people have, the Dalai Lama, they say he's got something like a 30-mile radius of his auric field. I can say this. When I went to Tibet, I had the privilege of being in his former summer home, the summer palace, alone. And I went into his prayer room, and it was like being in a nuclear reactor, the energy in there. So it's feasible that some people are able to create that beautiful, incredible energy shield to that extent. But most of us have a decent auric field around us, and some are more powerful than others. Now, this auric shield, of course, is fed by prana, by thought, by every kind of emotion. All of it, we know, I'm not telling you anything new, interacts to create this ever-changing, gaseous field that encircles us. And I like to remind people that it's under our feet, over our head, and everywhere in between. And as a psychic, of course, I see these fields. Without the prana, this field shrinks immediately. So I dare say that one of the objectives, maybe you think I'm paranoid, one of the objectives of getting people into these masks is to block off the connection with prana. So let me see. Do you agree with this? Yeah, Bismillah. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Yeah, there's a reason why Trump doesn't want to wear the mask. And he's said as much. It's about slavery. And, the symbolism of having your mouth, it drives me crazy, if I go anywhere and all these people are robotically walking around, not communicating, not touching, not breathing. It really is constantly like being in a movie, especially here where I am, because there's no reason for it. We have underpopulation. There's never a crowd here. And all this nature. And you're walking down the street wearing a mask. You're running down the street wearing a mask. You're in your car wearing a mask. Cutting off the prana completely. So, excuse me. Oh, I touched my face. That's going to give me germs. So obviously, and Angel just said it. Yes, so see how many of us are subservient, and to block the voice. Yes. And to block their airflow, to block prana. Because when you block off the prana, you shrink the field, the auric field drastically, and anything can get in. Right? So what I'm getting at here is I believe that this is one of the elements of why one of many reasons why some people are hook, line, and sinker into this fear and, and inculcated disempowerment because they're not breathing. It's really important to consider this aspect, right? I'm glad to hear that, Mom Perry. Obviously, you speak mine too. Okay, so there's that. So now we've got, another thing. How is it that we went from one day where everybody was terrified and warring about whether or not you wear a mask? I mean, the insanity, the rage. This is something that I just can't get my head around. The absolute rage. Again, connected also with the shutdown of pranic flow. And then knowing, if you know the chakric system, it's not just about shrinking the auric field. It's the whole generation of energy that each chakric center creates also just goes wah, wah, shuts down until people are just powerless. It's deliberate. It is deliberate. So they're going to keep this going. So now we've had people in the masks, and by the way, the mask and the plastic cover and the windows rolled up in the car. These people are really going to get sick. They're going to get really sick. And then, of course, following the trend of the riots will be because of people being out without their masks. The second wave is coming. Oh, and there's an asteroid, I think, on the way, just in case you've run out of things to be afraid of. Oh boy, okay, let's see what people are saying. Yes, thank you. Angel Eyes says, yes, of course it is, and to get us sick, and to keep us sick, because the biggest industry on this planet is Big Pharma. Never forget it. A healthy society is not profitable for them. Oh, that's a very interesting point. Laura Bow says, also, are they going through the elements? First air, breath, then fire, burning and looting. That's a very interesting comment, Laura. They are magicians and they do practice the occult. We know how they love numerology. And so we might be seeing that. And what will follow? What do you think will follow? Air, fire, oh God, water. I don't want to think about that. So, oh, Laura says she heard that from Magenta Pixie. Brilliant, bright star. I love Magenta Pixie. We had such a great encounter when we came to you with that dialogue and such a huge response from people loving it. And one of the, getting off topic here, the recurring comments I got was that people felt they were there, they were close, they were part of that dialogue. So we were definitely working on other levels as well. It was wonderful. We'll be back to you again next week. I'm leaking this, but we're going to do another. We got something else planned, something really great planned. So we'll let you know soon. Yeah, they're predicting, of course. Laura says they're predicting a heavy hurricane season. Yeah, gee, I wonder how they know that already. Could it be they control the weather? You know, people, this is another thing. I mean, the U.S. military has been working on weather control since World War II. That people can't still believe it. Oh, what a good point. You triggered a thought, Laura. Thank you. Chemtrails. I've been talking about chemtrails from 22, 23 years ago when the first Channel book came out, Cosmos of Soul. And very few people knew anything about chemtrails. And I think I was one of the first people to really bring it to light. And still today, tell people, you see how the sky looks this morning? Look, and then look at it 12 o'clock, look at it 1 o'clock, opaque. See the planes going back and forth and still not being able to see deeper. This is the way I started this conversation. How can you be looking at a sky full of trails of planes without thinking, wait a minute, planes go from point A to point B. They don't go point A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, C, D, all day long. But they can't see it. Why? I put this question out to all of you who are in the chat. Why do some people, are some people not able to see? We can say it's because they're They don't have any, I don't know, they're not read, they're not experienced, they're locked into their immediate reality, but there's got to be more to it. There's got to be more to it. The minority of human beings on this planet are the ones who are seeing. The majority are not. Why? Let's hear your comments. Fluoride and brainwashing, definitely. Boy, Angel, I love your comments. Yeah, I have been espousing the elimination of fluoride for so many years now. And, you know, I don't remember. I mean, I think I've been using fluoride-free toothpaste for 20 years. I've got filtered water. And so, you know, we now know that fluoride creates powder residue around the pineal gland. That's just one of the effects. We don't even talk about the cancerous potential and other things, but it numbs the mind and it shuts down the pineal gland, and that's deliberate. So thank you for that comment. Courtney says, some say they're NPCs. Courtney, what's an NPC? NPC. Please write what it is, what you mean. Oh, these are wonderful comments. Isn't it great we're sharing all this information? Wayne says, I use baking soda to brush and hydrogen peroxide to rinse. And if you dare say that to anybody, if you hear and talk about alternatives, you get shut down on social media because it's the fact checker says it's not true. So let's hope that we get to keep this talk stays up a while. Baking soda is amazing. Hydrogen peroxide is amazing. And then there's Miracle Mineral Supplement, which will get you thrown in jail if you try to discuss it. So look it up yourselves, jimhumble.com. Non-playing character. I'm back to Courtney. Let's see. Some say they're non-playing character. I don't know what you mean. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be slow. Non-playing character. I don't know what that means. Yes, MMS Wayne. I was trying to be slow. Okay, people say NPCs aren't sold. Non-playing. Well, oh boy, that really opens up a whole new discussion, which I'll do in another video. And that is clones, synthetics, soulless, genetic creations. It's so heavy. I'm not ready to discuss that right now, but I will. Dolores Cannon, she was a colleague of mine. I loved Dolores. Called them fillers. I didn't used to believe that was true, but looking at the Stepford wide world out there, I do believe, Angela says. I can't believe that the majority of people on this planet are Stepford wives, soulless creatures. I think people are distracted. I think that people, let's get back to the chakra system, are deliberately stuck being, what's the word I want to say? Directed, manipulated into staying in the lower chakra, survival, emotion, sexuality, and powerlessness, right? Because that's how you manipulate and control an individual. Just keep them scared enough. Just keep them enraged enough. Just keep them powerless enough. And here I'm probably going to run into commentary. The taking the knee syndrome. I have a real problem with this. This is a new trend now in America. So white America is getting on its knees to apologize to the Black America for the sins of their ancestors. I have a real problem with this because, first of all, you know what? I marched in my youth. I marched against Vietnam. I was with my Black brothers and sisters, my white brothers and sisters, and every race and creed. We stood up against what we believed was wrong, and we effected change together. So this drummed up new syndrome is more powerlessness. Guilt is the most, and I did a quick video about this earlier, the most destructive emotion, because you're whipping yourself. Not only, but are we really going to sit in the past? There is a world to heal here. Now, there are insane things happening on this planet. We need to be present. We need to be standing straight. We need this auric field to be as huge as possible to fend off the onslaught of every kind of mind control, every kind of disease, every kind of freak manipulation, to be present, not to be stuck in the past, guilty for something that really, I don't even know. I mean, maybe we were the slaves in past lives 400 years ago. It's over. If you believe in reincarnation, you also realize that that's being dealt with by returning karmically, working it out, not by kneeling down to arbitrary people who are standing over you, waiting for you to beg forgiveness for the sins of your. This is bullshit. I can't stand this. Get off of your knees. And oh my God, what an allegory. I mean, how much easier are we making it for these controllers? You're on your knees because you're full of guilt because of your ancestors. You're on your knees, masked and veiled, because the boogeyman is going to come and get you and you're going to die from a virus, which we sure are seeing the numbers change, aren't we? And are you also going to be on your knees when it's time to line up for your vaccine? Are you going to be on your knees when they want to put a chip inside of you so you can be completely robotized? Daryl says racism is not over. You damn straight it's not over, Daryl. And it's not going to be over this way. This is not the way. You know, I think back to the days of Martin Luther King. I was young. I was young once. I was a young teenager when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And I remember thinking, there goes the dream. The world would be a different place if John F. Kennedy had not been assassinated. And then they assassinated Martin Luther King. And I go, where's the rest of the dream? And I remember, speaking about racism, I remember that Robert Kennedy, a privileged white man, powerful man, when Martin Luther King was assassinated, he had the courage and the commitment to get on stage in Harlem, where there were, I think, 100,000 or more angry, desperate Black people mourning Martin Luther King, and demanding justice. And he could easily have been murdered there. The rage was palpable. But he got up on that stage and he said, I lost one brother. I'm going to start crying now. I remember him saying this. I lost one brother and now I've lost another. And I grieve with you. And that's how you deal with racism. Compassion. Not guilt, not rage, not rioting. Compassion. Nobility. Courage. And we are getting further and further away from these qualities. Sorry for the emotion, but that's who I am. Let's see. T. Van says, but it goes both ways, not just Black on white. I grew up in a Black community where Cracker Day was a norm, that white people had to stay home that day. Whoa. You know, it's all about keeping us divided. Because if we, and referring back to the Martin Luther King days, we were united. We stopped the war in Vietnam, the students that were rebelling. We brought an end to it because the country we were just focused. And if that's what we were seeing now, if we were seeing peaceful protest now, I'd be all for it. But when you look at this, first of all, paid insurgency, rage, and looting, if you're there to protest Flynn, then what are you doing? Breaking into 5-star super shops and looting out the goods. Where's your dignity? Where's your ethics? Where's your intent? Right? I'm not buying it. Not for a minute. Let's see. Yeah, we should stop. Bismillah says we should stop using white and black. So funny. I remember again when I was younger, really younger, the term was colored people. That was very offensive. So then when the Black Pride movement began, when the Black Panthers came, we were invited to use the term Black Pride, which I personally think is beautiful. And that now we're back to color, people of color, and all this bullshit language and political correctness. Boy, I said bullshit twice. That's the third time. There must be something I'm trying to get out. I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, political correctness, which I don't do. It's all about control. Even that the universities have a list of words you can't use. Political correctness, you can't say that expression or you're absolutely shunned. Some of the universities are even kicking students out because they're using language that isn't appropriate, politically correct. This is more masking, more dumbing down, silencing the freedom, the free speech, free will, and the energy, back to that, of shutting down the throat chakra. Those of you who understand the chakras, it's like shutting down the power, shutting down the emotions, keeping people in sexuality, big thing. Just keep that energy down there. Go ahead, knock your lights out. I swear. All right, more comments about the rioting. Yeah, it's absolutely clear that it's funded by my least favorite person. The question I want to pose to all of you is, how does it stop? Do you think that this rioting, which is spreading to other countries, it's in Europe now, they don't really know what they're rioting about. It's just inculcated. The frenzy is at a pitch. People are angry, unhappy. They're not breathing. They're not getting prana. Their auric fields are clamped down. And, it is like throwing a match on a haystack. We have to be cognizant of the fact, and this is why I came to you today, that allowing this rageful conversation on social media is really dangerous. We need to calm this down. We need to have an influence on that. And it starts with, believe it or not, if you inviting people to try to reason, and if they won't, push that block button, get them out of your field. Because the name calling, the rageful comments, the nasty, oh boy, man, there are some people I just like, whoa, I can't even imagine having that much rage. There's no room for them on my contact sheet, on my social media, in my life, period. And I invite you and I evoke you to do the same, because it is time to calm the waters here, folks. More comments? Great comment, Wayne. Where are the great comedians of the past that used to show us our society's ridiculousness? The politically active musicians of the 60s. You're talking my language. Groups like Crosby, Stills, and Nash Buffalo Springfield. The message was love. Come on, people now. Let's get together. And now the message is hate. And where do we get the love from? Let's talk about that. In this imbalance, and I'm talking about society, I'm not talking about individuals, us at the moment, but society, where's the love element? Where? We hate the politicians. We hate the person who's not wearing a mask or wearing one. We hate black, yellow, orange, green, white. Where's the love? The men hate the women, women hate men, men hate women. Oh, and boy, must be really tough to be a man now, because God forbid you even make a comment. We've misconstrued, it's immediately sexual harassment. Where's the love? Talk to me. You know where it is? Well, I'm a single woman at the moment. Oh, forever. I get the love from nature. I'm surrounded in nature. I get the love from the bird, the bloom, the forest. It grounds me back to what the purpose of life is, the beauty of the Garden of Eden. My girls, the dogs, unconditional love, no drama. And that's beautiful, Angel. And we need to utilize nature, especially now, because in this pause reset button on the planet, we've seen animals coming out into the cities. Peacock. I saw this most gorgeous little video clip. It was Madrid or Barcelona, I don't remember which. And these gorgeous peacocks were walking down the streets that were empty. And they were looking around, as birds do. You know, they do this thing. And looking like, what, hello? There's a major species missing here. And just coming out. Deer, elk, moose, you name it. The humpbacks are proliferating. Nature is loving this pause. And so that's where the love is, nature. And, you know, if you have children, you've got a happy family, hopefully they're not bickering. Hopefully you're able to use this time to create beauty with them, to give them appreciation for nature and the essence of life. And when you do that, the auric field expands, the prana comes in, and you're grounded. And I'm very thrilled to say to you, and I know you perceive it, that's what I do 24/7. I walk on my lawn bare feet. Oh, maybe there's going to be a bug, or maybe there's germs. You really shouldn't walk without shoes. This over-sterilized society is making us sicker. Take your shoes off, walk on the grass. Okay, Wayne says, I was so happy I had bees in my apple. That's great. Yeah, me too. I have a whole bunch of baby bumblebees. I've got flowers that are coming up, but I've noticed that they're very small. So that's a very good sign. New bees, new baby bees. Birds are more aware than humans. Yeah, I don't know if those of you who, birds are amazing. Unfortunately, they've decided that my roof is the perfect place to have mass quantities of nests and therefore poop and all kinds of problems, but whatever. But I don't know if you didn't catch that video with Magenta Pixie and me talking, you really should. Click on it on my YouTube channel and watch it. And at a certain point, we were talking about Trump and whether or not he was, I think it was something about his power, or if he had light teams behind him, and whoosh, there were like 100 birds singing right outside the window by the computer. It was gorgeous. You need to see that. Birds love me. Me too, Miss Swan. Isn't it great? In fact, sometimes I talk to them and sometimes they talk back. Mom Perry says that's because of your angry bird behind you. People always comment about the angry bird. So I'm going to tell you why it's there. It's my favorite little icon when I want to express being aggravated by a comment on Facebook. The Angry Bird little JPEG, and it represents the duality of my personality. Because on one hand, I'm a tough cookie, don't mess with me, and on the other side, I've got Buddha, and that is the gentle, loving, balanced me. But I've got a little piece of me that is not going to take any shit from anybody. And that's why the Angry Bird is there. A reminder, right? I do love it. Right. Okay. Well, I should probably be winding up about now because I've been talking for an hour. Can you believe it? And, thanks to all of you for staying with me this whole time. It's really great. So I'm going to leave you with these thoughts. Why are some people so completely have lost the plot? And, it might help to talk to them. Unless, like I said, unless it's complete shutdown and they're not willing to be human. I don't have any time to waste. But occasionally when people are in between, they're not in the deep water looking at the coral, but they're not on the surface either. Then sometimes I'll ask them why they feel that way. Or rather than getting into the meat of the hatred, like the obvious Trump syndrome, and other things like why they hate people who aren't wearing their masks and they fear, I ask them how much TV they watch. What do they do in a day? And how much TV do they watch? And inevitably, it's a lot. So I'd like to invite you to do an experiment. Not today, because I'm hoping you'll come back with me tomorrow when I talk about the breadth of deception. But this weekend, let's do an experiment. No television, no cell phones, no computers, no games, nothing electronic, okay? And see how your energy level feels after 2 days of no interference. The first thing that happens is all of this input isn't happening, all this disharmony, rage, anger, the regurgitation of everything dangerous and frightening and insane disappears. You are the keeper of your own destiny for 48 hours, and see what you do with your time. 48 hours. Can you do it? Because you won't believe the difference. And you will feel the difference in the aura. You will realize, you can't help but feel it. It feels different when you're not getting zapped. And it's not only the electronic zapping, it's the emotional abuse, the mental abuse that you get from all this information. So when you just stop, eat some good food, go for walks. I don't know if everybody here is allowed to go for walks. I certainly am. And if you can't go for walks, bring the earth into the house, make some potted plants, do some great cooking, read a book. Oh, I just happen to have a few. And see how you feel with 48 hours of no interruption from this machinery that is designed to shrink your aura, keep you in lower chakras, keep you in the vibratory frequency of fear, powerlessness, and sexuality. And let's see if we can make that more than a 2-day exercise. Reduce it to TV, man. You know what I do? I buy CDs. I buy TV series that I love. And a lot of this is old stuff. I don't care. I keep watching them over and over. I still love them. Jerry Seinfeld got the whole collection. Still makes me laugh, right? And I'd just like to mention also that when you get stuff that's over 10 years old, it's so much better. The language is so much nicer, so much cleaner. The humor is more innocent. It's interesting exercise. So I invite you all to join me. Okay, I don't have TV, but I do spend enough time on social media to be affected. And right now I'm going to unplug from it, except tomorrow when I do my follow-up video. And I just want to also share with you that I have good news. I have one screenplay which is about animals, the elephants in Africa. Well, that's one of the themes that is in development and getting close to pre-production. It would be probably in pre-production now if it hadn't been for the health issue. And 2 days ago, I got another screenplay picked up by a producer. So I am, I've told you guys I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it. I'm getting there. So I'm filling my time working on my screenplays, I've got a new idea for a new one, and just creative energy, just using my energies, keeping that beautiful aura plumped up, prana flowing in, energy, vitality, and a little blush on, just to keep it real. Humor above all. Don't forget it. Okay? So I'm going to say goodbye now. Thank you so much. I'm loving the new YouTube platform. I'm going to really be working a lot on this. So thank you. Tell your friends to, especially your disempowered friends. Hopefully there's something here for them that they can hear. Something could touch them. So please subscribe. It's really important. You get noogies. I mean, like algorithms and stuff I don't understand, but I know it's important to be able to stay on YouTube and keep the channel open, and it will always be free. So the only cost to you is to click the button to be a subscriber, and hopefully the like button if you've enjoyed what I've brought you. Let me say goodbye. Valerie, thanks for your insights, she says, tips and positivity. Keeping my vibes high. There's no greater joy for me than hearing people say that I helped them do that. Thank you, Valerie. Darren, so much better. I get mama's family when I need a laugh. We always need a laugh, Darren. Yeah, just don't take life too seriously. Nobody gets out of life anyway, right? Thank you, T-Van. Thank you, Bismillah. I appreciated your comments. Courtney, you rock. Thanks. Angel Waters, great feedback. I really appreciate it. Wayne, love ya. You got it, SM. Shine that light. How can you be miserable when you're around people that are radiant? Choose these people, right? I do. And I don't have a lot of people around me, but when I do, they're light workers. And I mean, they beam. It's just a journey here. We're not getting out alive. It's just a tube. Remember that. We came in a ball of light. Whoop, 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 whoop. We're going through to pick up some information, and we're coming out the other side. Thank you, CJ. I love you, sweetheart. Thank you, Agatha, Wayne, Angel Eyes, Courtney, Shauna. You're always there for me. Bismillah, Montperi, Hive Vespi. Namaste. I know I massacred your name. Thank you too, Rosie. Beautiful soul you are. All right, you guys. So, Norma, I don't want to miss you. Thank you so much from Mexico. Hola! Please tune in tomorrow. I'm going to come in with the second part of this spiel, and that's going to be the breadth of deception. I'm going to get into a little bit more about the mechanisms, the imprint of what's being fed to the human race and how they operate. And it's stuff we know, but it's always good to talk about it so that maybe a little bit more comes to light and we understand more. I hope this has helped. It's been great. I'll be back tomorrow. Love you. Take care. This is Patricia Cori signing out.